How dare you defile our sacred temple? Leave this place at once! Oh, we will leave! Don't worry. Good. Right after you start buying our stuff. You have nothing we need. Are you sure? I won't fall for that. Listen, kid, you're gonna do drugs and you're gonna like it. In the 1600s, the Manchu or Qing dynasty came from Manchuria, beat the Ming dynasty's butt, and took control of China. A series of strong emperors solidified their rule and expanded their borders. But if China's territory was big, the Manchus' ego was even bigger. Their emperors continued the tradition of being called Tianzi, son of heaven, and regarded other nations as barbarians, only worthy of paying them tribute. Under the Manchus, China was undeniably successful. Too successful. As they enjoyed stability and peace, the Chinese isolated themselves from the rest of the world, and the Manchus set up a sophisticated system to avoid internal plotting. They strictly controlled communications between districts to prevent coordinated rebellions, and rotated officials between provinces to stop them from building a local base of power. They also concentrated power in the emperor and delegated responsibilities as little as possible, while also prohibiting provinces from maintaining strong independent military forces. This strategy secured the Manchus' rule, but would also contribute to their downfall. Isolated provinces were unable to work together during times of crisis or natural disasters, which in China was very, very often. The quick rotation of officials meant that they rarely had a deep understanding of the territory they governed. Long-term projects were often unfinished, and there was a serious lack of accountability. The lack of delegation made the government incredibly inefficient, and the province's lack of armies limited their ability to defend themselves from internal rebellions or external threats. But one of the biggest problems was the widespread corruption. Officials often received bribes and requested money for works they never did. The last 20 years of Emperor Qianlong's rule were especially corrupt, as his imperial bodyguard Hoshan embezzled almost 800 million taels of silver, which was likely more than half of the country's total earnings in that time. Corruption also affected the military. Commanders often inflated the number of troops under their command to receive extra funding and provisions, which they then pocketed. This was not only a major drain of resources, but it also meant that the government was severely overestimating their military numbers and supplies. When the government expected large numbers of soldiers to report for battle, they discovered that many soldiers they were counting on never existed. To make matters worse for the emperor, because of the prolonged peace, the common folk were just not dying fast enough. Wait, that's bad? No, not really. But the Chinese government did not prepare for the rapid demographic explosion, and the available arable land did not keep up. So the average farmland for a Chinese family went from 10 acres to less than 6, likely causing a Malthusian crisis. Families' grain surplus slowly vanished, leaving them struggling to survive. The imperial government's main source of revenue, agricultural taxes, went uncollected, causing the imperial treasury to empty rapidly. The poor, displaced, and unemployed often turned to banditry or became recruits for one of China's many peasant rebellions. The Manchu dynasty was on the edge of the abyss. It just needed something to push it over the edge. European merchants began arriving in the 1600s. The Portuguese were first and yoinked Macau, while also trash-talking the British to the Chinese. Then came the Spanish, the Dutch, the British, and finally the French. But the Chinese could hardly distinguish between them, and they often blamed the British for the actions of the Dutch. The European merchants were mostly profit-driven and showed little respect for China's culture or customs, often behaving very poorly. And they were also not really welcomed in China. Rather, they were merely tolerated. Their presence seen as a favor granted by the emperor to those he believed came to bear tribute. But while Europeans bought many Chinese products such as tea, porcelain or silk, the Chinese were not interested in anything the Europeans could offer. By 1759, the only Chinese port open to foreign trade was Canton, and Western merchants were extremely unhappy about the way they were treated. They disliked both the Canton system of trade and the restricted freedoms. Alright, Lord George McCartney, the Chinese Emperor's 83rd birthday is coming up, so use the occasion to negotiate a more favorable trading situation for us. These are the goals. Alright, I'll do my best. Okay, Mr. Barbarian, do not forget, once you meet the Emperor, you must do the ceremonial kowtow. The what tow? Kowtow. You must kneel 3 times and bow 9 times, touching your forehead to the ground to recognize the authority of the Son of Heaven over all earthly realms. Whoa, slow down there, buddy. I recognize only the authority of the King of England. Well, our Emperor is the Son of Heaven. Does your kingdom lie under heaven? Well, yes, but is your king also a Son of Heaven? No, but, well, looks like Son of Heaven trumps king. Well, I'm still not kowtowing. Then you're not seeing the Emperor. Fine. What if I kneel once, like I would do for my king? Sure, whatever, just please behave in there. Of course. If there's one thing we Brits are known for, is respecting the culture and customs of the countries we invade, visit. McCartney presented the Emperor with the greatest gifts the West had to offer, and for several days they feasted and partied. So, Mr. Barbarian, how are you enjoying our hospitality? It's been lovely, Emperor Qianlong. It's been a fun couple of days, but how about we get down to business now? What? I'm here as an imperial envoy sent by His Majesty to negotiate with you. No, you are here as a bearer of tribute. Oh, not this again. You think you can come here, ruin my birthday party, and manipulate me into opening up China for Britain? Some little island far away no one has even heard of? I am the Son of Heaven. I will teach your puny king some respect. Being so rich in products of all kinds, China has no need for foreign trade. Traditionally, people of European nations who wish to render some service under the Celestial Code have been permitted to come to the capital. But after their arrival, they are obliged to wear Chinese court costumes. They are placed in a certain residence, and they are never allowed to return to their own countries. This is the established rule. Your envoy's extraordinary requests indicate clearly that many of you Westerners have failed to appreciate our kindness and generosity. Your envoy's requests, if granted, would not only constitute a violation of Chinese law, but would serve no useful purpose for England as well. Knowing how I feel about this, you must abide by my wishes without fail, so both of our peoples may continue to enjoy the blessings of peace. Really great job, man. Not all is lost. Really? How so? I gathered much information on the Chinese. Their scientific and medical knowledge is way behind our own. Their army still mostly uses bows, spears, and sometimes old muskets. Their agricultural society has masses of people living in poverty, and there is widespread corruption and graft in their government. Interesting. In 1796, Chinese farmers grew tired of their crappy conditions and rebelled in what was called the White Lotus Rebellion. The imperial government raised taxes to pay the army, angering British merchants. The British then angered the Chinese by taking Macau, a part of China, from the Portuguese twice and attacking Nepal, a Chinese tributary. But still unhappy about the trade system in Canton, the British now sent Lord Amherst, the former governor of India, to negotiate with the Chinese emperor. I need you to get us all these things, okay? And whatever you do, do not make the same mistake as McCartney. Just do the stupid kowtow. No one cares. Got it? Got it. Before you see the Emperor Qing, please remember you must do the ceremonial kowtow. Yeah, that's not happening. Wait, what? Sorry, my king is better than your emperor. I'm not acknowledging your emperor's superiority by kowtowing. Listen, man, no one really cares about the kowtow's meaning. Just kneel 3 times and prostrate 9 times, and you can move on with your business. Blasphemy. But you know what? I could bend 1 knee and then bow my head 3 times. What? What if I repeat that 3 times? No, you gotta kneel with both knees 3 times and knock your big head on the floor 9 times. Or I could dab 3 times and floss 9. You know what? Yes, go do that in front of the emperor, right now. I don't care. Wait, you want me to go in now? Yes, he's expecting you now. But we had such a long journey. I'm tired. He is the Son of Heaven. I don't care if you're tired. If you have an appointment with him, you just go in. Or you could tell him I'm sick. The British bearer of tribute says he can't meet with you because he is sick. Well, is there someone else on his delegation who can come? I don't know. Let me ask. The emperor asks if anyone in your delegation can meet with him. Thing is, we're all sick. The bearer of tribute says they're all sick. Do they think I'm stupid? Welcome back. How did it go? Well, he asked me to kowtow, so you kowtowed? God, no. So, yeah, they kicked me out. Anyways, there's something else we need to talk about. We're buying silk, tea, porcelain, and spices from China, which is costing us a lot of money. But they still refuse to buy things from us. I wish there was some way we could make them want our products so bad that they can't resist buying them. Well, what about some drugs? Yeah, I guess we could take a break, but we gotta figure it out after. No, I meant what if we sell them drugs? Oh, yeah, let's go with your idea. The British began importing opium from India and selling it in industrial amounts in China. Although, to be fair, medicinal opium had existed in China for over 1,000 years and consumption was not unheard of. But there was no precedent for what was to come. In 1729, Emperor Yancheng decided that doing drugs was bad and prohibited the sale and smoking of opium. Around that time, there were about 15 tons of opium in China. By 1767, it rose to 75 tons. But as the British continued to smuggle opium into China, by 1839, there were an estimated 3,000 tons of opium in the country, a 40-fold increase in 100 years. At first, addicts were mostly young men from rich families, but the habit soon spread to government officials, merchants, women, servants, soldiers, and even monks, nuns, and priests. At the height of the opium epidemic, there were between 2 and 10 million addicts. A common laborer could easily spend half of his wage to sustain his addiction. So opium spending caused a stagnation in the demand for other commodities, causing a general sluggishness in the market. And with the inflow of opium into China, silver was cascading out. And with less silver available, its value increased. In 1740, a tael of silver exchanged for 800 copper coins, while in 1828, it was worth up to 2,600 copper coins. The big problem was that farmers were paid in copper, but had to pay taxes in silver. So the tax rate for farmers effectively tripled. But while the Chinese suffered from the consequences of the addiction, the British were making a killing, as the imperial government were unable to stop smuggling. Government officials charged with suppressing the drug often connived with the smugglers, who gave them 3 samples of opium to pass as intercepted contraband. The British were very good at avoiding detection. Just like today's sponsor, Pablo Escobar. Nah, just kidding. But a serious thank you to Orate AI for sponsoring this video. Orate AI is an AI-powered writing tool that helps you quickly write essays complete with real references. All you need to do is make an account, write in your prompt, select the desired reference format and word length, and you're good to go. I asked it to write an essay about how Mercury being in retrograde may have impacted the outcome of the Opium Wars. And believe it or not, it made a compelling argument, discussing how Mercury being in retrograde may have disrupted communications, how key battles of the war occurred while Mercury was in retrograde, and the possible astrological beliefs of certain policymakers. The essay was of course not serious, but it was still really fun to read, so I'm leaving a link to it in the description if you want to check it out. Anyways, Orate AI is a great tool if you're looking to improve your essay writing skills. Use my link in the description and input the code TICA10 for $10 off your first premium purchase. Anyways, back to the video. In 1834, the British Superintendent of Trade, Lord Napier, tried to meet directly with Chinese officials, which was forbidden, and the Chinese temporarily closed British trade. Why don't you close this? Both governments were furious at Napier's action. But luckily for him, he died of typhus shortly after and was replaced by Captain Charles Elliot. Tired of the rampant violation of their sovereignty, in 1836, the Emperor Daoguang ordered a crackdown on the sale and use of opium. Over 2 years, he imprisoned over 2,000 Chinese opium dealers, smugglers, and users, with almost daily executions of addicts. In 1839, the Provincial Governor-General in Canton appointed a new commissioner to oversee the suppression of the drug trade, Lin Zexu. He wanted to finally go after the foreign smugglers, but trying to avoid an open conflict with the British. How can we do that? Well, they have a Christian queen, right? If there's one thing Christians are known for, it is their strong and consistent set of values. Surely, if we make her see how the actions of the British here go against the teachings of their God, she will see reason and stop the sale of opium. I have heard that the smoking of opium is strictly forbidden in your country. Why do you let it be passed on to the harm of other countries? Suppose there were people from another country who carried opium for sale to England and seduced your people into buying it and smoking it. Certainly, your honorable ruler would hate it and be bitterly aroused. Naturally, you would not wish to give unto others what you yourself do not want. And now we wait. Sir, you got mail! Finally, let's see what the British have to say. Alright, that's it. All foreigners must surrender all of their opium stock in 3 days and sign a pledge that pinky promises never to traffic opium again. Why would we do that? Well, I'll strangle you to death if you don't. You what? And I'll also give you some of our tea if you comply. That's a weird combination. The British were forced to surrender more than 75 metric tons of opium. Or, if you're an American, 16,000 pounds or 15,000 bald eagles. Which is objectively a lot. But it was only 2% of the opium the British had stockpiled in Canton. Commissioner Lin decided to destroy the opium in a public ceremony. He had the opium dumped into 3 trenches that had salt and lime in them, and covered them in 2 feet of water. They stirred it and flushed it into the sea. It was so much opium that it took 500 workers to 22 days to destroy it. Shortly after, 2 British sailors drunkenly killed a Chinese farmer at Kowloon, and the British authorities refused to hand them over to the Chinese and insisted on trying them themselves. The Chinese then forbade anyone from selling supplies to the British, but after a small battle, they did manage to buy provisions from local villagers thanks to the power of corruption. Commissioner Lin's ban on opium forced all British merchant ships to sign a bond declaring that they were not carrying the drug, and if opium was found on board, they risked execution. Claiming a violation of their sovereignty, Elliot prohibited all British ships from signing the bond. Well, we're selling cotton, not opium, so we'll just sign it, sell our stuff, and be on our way. No, you won't. I forbid it. I know my rights. That is not legal. Wait, is it not legal? Well, we're not selling opium either, so we'll just go right through. Oh no, you won't. Chinese warships rushed to defend the Royal Saxon, but they were no match for the powerful British Navy and were defeated at the Battle of Tranby. The First Opium War had begun. A British expeditionary force arrived under Rear Admiral George Eliot, Charles Eliot's cousin, to obtain satisfaction for the detention of British opium traders, return of the surrendered opium or suitable compensation, satisfaction for the indignities caused upon the British, cession of one or more islands, and abolition of the monopolistic Canton trade system. To intimidate the Chinese into compliance, the Eliots sailed north from Canton, occupying Qinghai, blockaded Ningbo, and then threatened Beijing. Damn it, Lin, I thought you had this. I do have this, just let me go fight them. No, your aggressive approach is the reason we're in this mess. I need someone better. Kishan, go meet the barbarian leaders and figure out what they want, and buy us as much time as you can. Kishan was granted the title of Manager of Barbarians, but realizing the inequality in weaponry and equipment, he concluded that it was senseless to fight and necessary to appease the British. Well, hello, handsome. Tell me, are all barbarians so tall and strong, or is it just you? Listen, our emperor is investigating your troubles and will respond shortly after he has established the fact. So don't worry, big fella. Why don't you lift your blockade and return to Canton? The emperor will send an emissary to meet you once the investigation is done. Alright, buddy. You seem trustworthy enough. Any minute now. It can't be much longer. God damn it, Elliot, he lied to you. Hey, Kishan, think you're so clever? Well, what do you think of this? Now you will sign this draft, agreeing to give us Hong Kong, pay us $6 million silver as indemnity, allow for equal intercourse between officials from our countries, and you will reopen Canton for trade. The Manchu emperor was furious at Kishan for conceding so much and dismissed him, while the British Foreign Secretary Lord Palmerston was mad at Elliot for gaining too little and replaced him with Sir Henry Pottinger. But before Pottinger arrived, Elliot captured Canton and ransomed it for $6 million silver. The Chinese agreed to pay the $6 million as ransom for Canton and compensation for the destroyed opium. But 10,000 angry Cantonese attacked the British at San Yuan Li. Although they caused little damage, this attack would inspire Chinese nationalism for years to come. When Pottinger arrived, he sailed north from Canton and occupied Xiamen, Qinghai, and Ningbo. Unable to form a cohesive defense, and with the fortifications outdated and neglected, in June 1842, the British took Shanghai and Zhejiang, a vital part of China's grain shipping system. After the Europeans threatened to attack Nanjing, the Chinese finally ceded and signed the Treaty of Nanjing on August 29, agreeing to pay $21 million silver, abolishing the Kohong monopolistic trade system, opening 5 ports to trade and residence of British consuls and merchants, cession of Hong Kong, equality in official correspondence. The next year, they also signed a supplementary treaty which fixed the import duty, allowed the British to try their own subjects, allowed British warships to anchor at 5 Chinese ports, and gave them most favored nation treatment, which meant that China would grant Britain whatever rights they would give to other powers later. Hey, that sounds cool, we want that too. The Chinese reluctantly agreed, realizing that it would be better to grant them those privileges than to have them trade under British banners. These treaties were dubbed Unequal treaties, as China was forced to sign them at gunpoint and was reduced to a semi-colonial status, beginning its century of humiliation. The Chinese now sent a negotiator named Qing to appease and befriend Pottinger. However, Pottinger was replaced, and his successors were not fond of Qing's antics. In the meantime, the people of Canton violently rioted to prevent the British from entering the city, as the Treaty of Nanjing allowed them to do. This left the city in a tense stalemate for many years. The Emperor Daoguang died in 1850, leaving his son Xianfang in power. He replaced Qin by a group of hardline xenophobic officials who despised the British. The treaties signed between China, France, and the Americans were up for revision in 1854. The Treaty of Nanjing, signed with the British, had no such clause. Wait a minute, we have most favored nation status. That means if they get to revise the treaty, so can we. I'm not revising anything. Get lost. Also, you cannot address me or any of my officials directly anymore. Then who do we talk to? I don't know. That guy. Well, can we negotiate with him? No, he has no power. The situation was tense. All it needed was a spark, which came in 1856. Halt! We are looking for a couple of sailors accused of piracy. Prepare to be boarded. That's ridiculous. We are flying British colors precisely to protect us from pirates, since you can't even do that. You better watch your tone, sailor. Yeah? Or what? We are under British protection. You can't do squat. Oh, watch me. Gladly. Chinese officials arrested 12 Chinese crew members and hauled the British flag down, infuriating the British. Hey, what on earth was that? We arrested Chinese citizens on a Chinese ship on a very much Chinese harbor. It was flying our colors. Any ship flying our flag is British soil. You had no right. Well, what are you gonna do about it? I'm gonna seize your ships until you return my crew. Oh, okay, you can have them back. But I'm not apologizing. That's fine. You don't need to apologize. But you will be sorry. Wait, what? The British bombarded Canton to force China to comply with their economic demands. And the Second Opium War had now begun. Unable to fight the Navy, the Chinese responded by burning down European factories in the city. Realizing how easily the British had gotten concessions from China, more countries joined in. The French used the murder of one of their missionaries as pretext to enter the fight, while both Russia and the US provided support. The Europeans gave an ultimatum, and after the commissioner refused to submit, they attacked and captured Canton on December 28, 1857. They then sailed north and easily took the forts of Dagu and Tianjin. The Chinese panicked by the fast advance of their enemies and sent negotiators. Ha, there you are! Alright, let's get this straight. You are going to pay us reparations for all our expenses, open up more ports for us, let foreigners trade within China, and allow missionaries to operate freely. That's a good one! Tell Russia, tell Russia! Tell him! Yes. There's one more thing. You have to legalize opium. Please, I can't agree to that. The emperor will have my head. Well, then maybe he shouldn't have opposed us, huh? Please, ask for something else, anything. Listen, buddy. We can sign this here and now,
or we can sign it tomorrow night in Beijing. The humiliated Chinese negotiators were forced to sign the treaty. But the Qing court refused to implement its terms, so in 1859, the British and French tried to send diplomats to Beijing, but were blocked by Chinese forces at the Dagu forts. Overconfident from their previous easy victories, they tried to sail past them, and for once, got absolutely blasted and were forced to retreat. Furious, the Europeans launched another campaign in 1860, captured the Dagu forts after fierce fighting, and then took Beijing. The emperor fled, leaving no one to negotiate with them. The British considered burning down the Forbidden City as punishment for the torture and killing of British negotiators, but eventually decided to go for the Summer Palace instead, torching its 200 palaces, courtyards, and gardens. The emperor finally realized that resistance was futile and agreed to all European demands. Oh yes. You now have to pay 8 million taels of silver to both me and France, and you will give us not just Hong Kong, but the entirety of the Kowloon Peninsula. Oh, is there something you want to say? Please, speak up. Nothing. China was completely and utterly humiliated. But even though the Europeans retreated, its troubles were far from over. In the early 1850s, massive flooding of the Yangtze River caused the collapse of hundreds of dikes, leading to immense loss of life. The government responded slowly and weakly, detonating a 15-year-long peasant rebellion. Another rebellion occurred in the provinces of Guangdong and Guangxi, where hundreds of thousands of port workers and sailors were left unemployed after Canton lost its monopoly on foreign trade. A man named Hong Xiuquan failed his exam to become a public official for the third time and did not deal with it too well. I am the long-awaited brother of Jesus Christ and have been sent to found the Taiping heavenly kingdom with me as its heavenly king. Yeah, it might as well join. Marginalized peasants flocked to join the Taiping heavenly kingdom, as its army marched across the country, killing landlords and merchants while burning land deeds and tax and loan records. At its height, the Taiping rebels seized a vast portion of land, set its capital in Nanjing, and had over 500,000 soldiers. The rebellion was put out by 1860, but it still dealt a massive blow to the Qing dynasty. In the end, the Opium Wars were not really just about opium. The drug was a catalyst, but it is very likely that the conflict would have happened without it. The Europeans' arrogant aggression and determination to open up China's markets, combined with the Chinese hubris and false confidence in their military supremacy over their opponents, basically ensured an armed conflict at some point. It was only after the humiliation of the Second Opium War that the Qing dynasty, now led by the Tongzhi Emperor, decided to make a change. He wished to westernize some aspects of the country like science, industry and military, while retaining its soul, and sent hundreds of Chinese to study abroad. They reclaimed and rehabilitated devastated farmlands, reduced agricultural taxes, and sometimes forgave them altogether, while also introducing codes of conduct for civil servants. In the past, China had never considered other countries as diplomatic equals, only tributary or vassal states. But now, they established the Zhongliamen, the Office for Foreign Affairs, and for the first time, made an institution teaching the major European languages, while also opening schools teaching Western mathematics, physics, astronomy, and international law, and introduced the modern telegraph and railroad. Still, some conservative Qing officials mounted a campaign of resistance and sabotage against this self-strengthening movement. Your actions are a betrayal of our country's most beloved traditions. There is no excuse, and I hope you will suffer A slow and painful death. Love, Mom? And I meant it. That is not a joke. One of the main opponents to the emperor's reforms was his own mother, the Empress Dowager Cixi, who resisted and sabotaged his actions every step of the way. The opposition blocked or diverted funds, the most iconic case being when the emperor ordered the construction of a new modern navy. Instead, Cixi spent the money restoring a massive luxury marble ship. So much was stolen that not a single warship was built until the collapse of the Qing dynasty. The emperor died in 1875, and Cixi became even more powerful and ended any hope of reform. In the following years, China lost more wars and ceded territory to France in Indochina in 1884, and both the Korean Peninsula and Taiwan to Japan in 1894. In 1898, Britain signed a 99-year lease for territories near Hong Kong, which only ended in 1997. Despite all this, the Manchu dynasty did not collapse yet. They managed to hold on for a few more years, but the path was now set for the Wuchang Uprising and the Revolution of 1911, and eventually the Chinese Civil War.